Touchdown, Westerly!
A chance for the Chargers, and they score!
In the front, Guzzi again!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Behind the Curtain with the Granite Theatre. Please let me introduce to you our host for today and for always, celebrating something special today that we'll get to in a second, Nicole DiMattei, the artistic director of the Granite Theatre. And today we are going to be talking about the upcoming production of Love Letters at the Granite Theatre, brought to you by the Westerly Rotary Club on Saturday, February 8th at 2 p.m. It is one show only, and the two stars of the show, and just stars in general in life, are here. The Reverend Cal Lord from Central Baptist Church here in Westerly, and Rona Mann, known for many, many things, but we like to think of her as the host of Man About Town here at 321. Welcome, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
So, first of all, Nicole, what are we celebrating?
It's my 2-year anniversary.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was I signed my contract on January 27th, 2023. Wow, it's 2025. That's insane. So yeah, and I just,
Did you have culture shock coming from Manhattan here?
No, I did not.
Relief?
Yeah, maybe relief. It's such like there's so much going on here. And
Yeah.
it's like such an artistic town that the thing we used to say was, or that we still say, is that we just feel like it's so much more accessible than New York City.
Oh, sure.
You know, so like there was so much going on in New York that while my husband and I were a part of it, it didn't feel like we were more than a drop in the bucket. And now we feel here that we're surrounded by like-minded people that
Right now, you're the whole bucket.
the whole bucket. But that like we can make a difference and, you know, contribute to our community, which is something we always, you know, wanted to do. So no culture shock, just happy.
Good.
Just happy.
Good. Well, we love having you here. And Cal, you are I never know what to call you.
You can call me Cal.
All right. I never know what to call you because
His Eminence.
right. Well, I mean, okay, so I am a Baptist and grew up Baptist, and then my childhood pastor, Pastor Allen, I called him Pastor Allen always. And then the guy that replaced him, John Savage, who I know you know, became like one of my best friends. So I called him John. Literally, I have to remember he's a pastor sometimes. And then everybody else that I work with is father or, you know, reverend or whatever, with all of the work that I do for churches. So I just don't know. I mean, pastor would be the formal thing, but I'll call you Cal. I
That's
feel
good.
weird calling
Yeah,
you Cal.
yeah. Well, it's interesting. If you call the church and ask for Cal, my secretary will say, "Who? You mean Pastor Cal?" Because her father is Reverend Dr. Joshua McClure. And so
Okay.
she grew up in the pastoral home. And again, this whole idea of the reverence for the pastoral role. But again, I always have had this very humble sense of I'm one of the people. And I'm just blessed to be able to be a leader in the church. And so Cal, Bob, John, Sarah, Sally, we're all ministers in our church theology. We all serve the Lord. So I'm very comfortable with Cal. Although as I get older, you know, with the children, it's probably a good thing to teach them to have a little respect for the next person that comes along. So.
Yes.
Oh, that reminds me. You just came back from Honduras. Did anybody have a baby while you were away?
No.
I know there's
any
one
day.
about.
Yeah, no, any day. Do the 28th, and
Ooh.
so we're excited. I'm glad the baby didn't come. Well, my daughters probably wish the baby. So we're waiting. Our phones are on. We're waiting for the call that they've gone to the hospital. So
That's great.
This is the daughter in Cape Cod or here?
no, the daughter here in Pawcatuck. Yeah.
Nice. Yay.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about love letters.
Yeah, let's do it.
You guys tell me what's going on. What's happening? It's unusual to do a one-off show, right, at the Granite? Or
Well, so I did a few last year before we opened. We did the Coast Guard band recital. We did what was that
It's
called?
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that was amazing. The Love Fidelity or Lack Thereof event by Marcy Rizzo. That was a really cool Valentine's Day event. And then
Dave
Dave
Kane.
Kane did
Right.
his St. Patty's Day show. And so so if there are we also had a theater company come in and rent the space, and they did a weekend musical called Crossing. So yeah, in that aspect, it's not strange to have a one-off because our season hasn't started yet. So that's kind of what we're capable of right now, because the theater's been dark. It's so messy.
it's so
right now.
dark and dreary.
It's so dark and dreary and cold.
Well, also beautiful new
know.
ceiling.
I know.
So
It's amazing. I'm so happy. But now it's still like, still having to get all the lights back up, get curtains back up. It's just making it back into a theater. Not all the sound is plugged in, things like that. So this Rona came to me about this last year when I had asked her for some fundraising tips, because it was right before our fundraiser, our gala that we had in August. And she brought this idea to me that they could do this, and they are both members of the Rotary Club, which is very nicely sponsoring the show. So it's a really fun show. Again, we had sold out our Halloween. Good morning,
I thought you were
people.
going to say holiday.
Holiday would have been better, and
Yeah.
maybe that's where I was going. We had sold out our Valentine's Day show last
You can go
year.
back to your little
So,
snowman thing.
My sound check snowman. So yeah, I mean, and it's really like a nice low lift for the theater. We've had a few rehearsals, but in general, the show is meant to be just put up, blank stage, minimal lighting, sound. So yeah. So for me, it was a no-brainer, and then having these two involved is awesome. I've only ever heard of Cal's acting chops.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Cal, tell me about your acting prowess.
I keep threatening that someday when I have more time, I do a show at the Granite, because over the years I've done quite a few, but I haven't done anything really since I've come to Westerly. But a couple of leading roles, a couple of supporting roles, musicals. I love musicals.
What's your favorite musical?
Well, we did Brigadoon, and I had the lead in Brigadoon, which was really cool. But Kiss Me Kate, we played one of the gangsters. It was a fun part. So I like the comedic roles, and I like roles that generally make people feel good. Annie Get Your Gun, I did, and a few, one of my friends and colleagues would do some musicals that were kind of not well known, but they were fun shows, holiday shows. So it was great. And sometimes I'll do it still with the kids at the dance studio where my girls grew up. They'll say, "Hey, can you play Santa for this thing?" or "Can you play, some character?" And so if time allows, I try to do this. So I keep threatening Nicole and her predecessor, saying, "Yeah, so I'm going." Almost went out for Jesus Christ Superstar, and then I chickened out at the last minute.
I think you should have gone out for the full Monty.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. It has to be.
You're worried
has to
about
be-
a little
no,
language
it has
here.
to be a family-friendly show. But it was great when Rona said, and we both try to support the theater. When Rona said, "Hey, I've got an idea for a fundraiser, and I know you like to ham it up and do things. Would you be interested in doing this? It's really a light lift because it's basically readers' theater to some degree." And I said, "Well, yeah." So she gave me the script, and we looked at it, and that script really tugged at my heart. It's not necessarily a show you're going to go out with a big smile on your face, but it's very realistic with the challenges of life and this long-time relationship between these two people. And life kind of goes along, and they keep reconnecting. And these letters, these letters connect them in a very deep way. And I have to say, to be honest, the female character in there, I was moved by her because my mother was a troubled figure, and I think about this woman, the love interest of this fellow. And it makes your heart sad because she had all the potential to have a great life and never could
did.
pull it all together.
And money isn't everything, which
yeah.
she says.
And again, so there's a realistic dynamic to it. And again, I was moved by it. So, and I said, yeah. And again, as a fundraiser, and again, Rotary sponsoring it, it was great because anything we can tell, if we sell out the show, it'll be great. And it'll give a nice little blessing to the theater.
We have a comment here from Dina who says, Nicole's doing Kiss Me Kate.
you
should audition.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Dina.
Brush up your Shakespeare. Start quoting him now.
Wow. I think that was an audition.
Yeah. Oh, she's also doing the full Monty. I keep pushing it.
No.
He could be an understudy.
No. I think.
And then Rona, you have quite a resume in the
But
theater.
Again, I haven't done anything in a while other than my own. I have a one-woman show that I've done for 8 years around the country. That is probably the best kept secret here because never did it here.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What's happening? You have a one-woman show?
I have a one-woman show called I Never Knew the Knife Man's Name. Yep. It's based on a book I wrote. It's a nostalgia show.
Okay.
And I've been doing that for a long time, since before COVID.
Wow. How come you've never done it here?
I asked a long time ago at the Granite and they weren't interested. So I never asked them again.
Okay.
And I don't think I ever did one in Rhode Island. I did plenty in Connecticut, Mass, Oklahoma, California, the Deep South, Florida, but never here. So there you go. There's next year. You can do a one-off.
Very, very, very interesting. Yeah, for me, like that they weren't interested is upsetting to me.
Yeah.
Just because I have a theater and
it's
a community
in
theater.
the winter then, and there was no heat and nobody was interested. So I did not push it.
Yeah.
But that's so I've kept up by doing that. I did have a show in October and one in December.
There
but
is heat, by the
since
way.
before that, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Since they've done that. But yeah, I started as a kid.
Wow.
As I think you know.
I just know your Harvey story.
My
Your Harvey.
Oh my no. I thought you were going to say Harvard story.
What's the Harvey story?
No, you don't want to know.
Okay.
It was just her first show.
It was
she
the
ever
first
saw.
time I'd ever seen a show. And
Oh.
I saw it at the Paper Mill Playhouse in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And, was absolutely taken with the fourth wall.
Yeah.
I just sat there. I paid no attention to the plot. Didn't even like it. Didn't like the plot. But I was amazed, saying, those people up there know I'm here, but they're pretending they don't know. And I'm pretending that I don't know that they know. And when I went home that night, my parents asked me, I couldn't tell them much. I said, something about a big rabbit. It was stupid. And all I did was talk about the fourth wall.
Wow.
And that kind of hooked me then. That was a Girl Scout troop or Brownie troop. I was about 9 at the time.
All the shows to bring in 9-year-old group. To,
Yeah.
But you don't, but seriously, you don't know. I did, when I was 12, I was the understudy to Patty Duke in Miracle Worker.
What?
oh my
For
gosh.
a few months. Yeah.
Wow.
Never got to do it because the people that managed her were not nice people. And they didn't care. If she was sick, they would slap her and make her go on. They were awful people. She wrote about them in her autobiography. They wouldn't let us play together backstage. They were just not nice people at all.
Wow.
But she was cool. I liked her. I wanted to know her better, but no, they just kept her at a distance. But that was the start. And then I did some community theater. And then I went to college and majored in theater. And then after that, it was tours and repertory. Got to be in the Syracuse Repertory Company. And there we are.
And then you got into radio.
Yeah. I got into radio because I met this guy who interviewed me for a job and kind of wound up with him for 45 years. So, but yeah, he taught me everything about radio. He did.
Cool. Well,
Oh,
and now we're back at the theater.
And now we're back at the theater, and that's still number one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was in a movie, The Sterile Cuckoo with Liza Minnelli.
Wow.
I was girl in bar.
Definitely
Definitely not typecast. You have no idea how many girls in bars there were in that movie. You have to squint to see me, but I was in that.
I've always kind of, when you see auditions for some local movie, and there's a
Yeah.
lot like in Mystic and in other areas, I always am tempted to say, I want to go just to be an extra so that you can then watch the movie and say, "There, that's me, just walking by.
Do
in
you
the
know how
background."
awful that is? Because my husband and I went out for The Bronx is Burning. And
Oh,
we got it.
Yeah.
And we showed up. We had to go to New London and stand in the cold for hour upon hour upon hour upon hour. And after the first night, we said, you can keep your $100 a day. We don't want this anymore. I will never do it again.
oh there
But
you
I
go.
know people are really
Yeah,
excited
yeah.
to
When
do it.
When I was a little kid, my cousin Mike was an extra in Amistad because they
Oh,
filmed
yeah.
in Mystic, I think. And I've never seen the movie. I thought it was the coolest thing ever when I was 7 or whenever that movie came out, and didn't see it, haven't seen it. Realize
Well, just
now I
assume they
should.
cut them because they do
I'm
that
going to assume
too.
that they
Yeah,
cut
They'll
it.
keep you there all night long and then they'll just cut.
Yeah, but and I mean, since it's cool, that's a cool start. Since then, I know a lot of other people that have been in a lot of stuff, so it's fine. But he was an extra in that, which was fun, locally. So all of you, well, the two of you, the actors in this show, both loved theater and are returning to theater from what you're, what you do normally, whether it be writing and radio or whatever you do, Pastor.
I work 1 hour a week.
You work 1 hour a week.
and-
The biggest fable in that is the belief that you work 1 hour a week.
Yeah.
How do you find time to do this show right now?
Well, I think it's this show is unique in the sense that you don't have 4 or 6 weeks of rehearsal where you have to memorize lines and blocking and all that, so that the staging is so simple, and basically you're reading letters and postcards and interacting. And I think the way that it's set up, we're not even necessarily looking at each other. So
That's the one thing
and-
that bothers
yeah,
me, but
yeah.
I know it's necessary.
yeah,
But I was thinking about that because I was trained eye contact,
yeah,
from the very first eye contact. And here it's don't you dare look at him
Yeah.
and don't turn your head, except the very end.
yeah,
And we didn't even talk about if you want that.
yeah.
Because I've
Yeah.
seen it done both ways. I was kind of playing around on YouTube. I saw a British version of this, which was awful. But I saw Brian Dennehy and Mia Farrow. There's just a little scene, but there's some. It's interesting,
Yeah.
very interesting.
So you do have to prepare because you want to read with emotion. You want to be able to respond to what the other person is saying, and again the context of where these letters are written, and again you imagine, this is how I do it, you imagine where you are in life, because the letters kind of tell you, and so where you are in life and what the relationship is, and there's a few places where you don't hear back, and so you get that anxiety, in what's going on in her life or his life. So again, I think the story carries it along fairly well, even though it's not a traditional, face-to-face dialogue.
Yeah, and so I think this is part of the reason that Rona brought this specific show to me was the fact that it's very minimal rehearsing. And it even bills itself as you could do it with no rehearsal, which I don't think is a good idea.
Unless you're
We're almost there.
if you're Brian Dennehy and Mia Farrow, maybe you can.
Yeah.
But they're like
No, they had rehearsal.
the words need to feel real, in the actors' mouths and voices. So, running it a few times is good, and that is what we're doing. But it's different. It's so different and fun, and and extremely relatable. Like that was the thing that really, even though you don't think that you can relate to these characters right off the bat, knowing their backgrounds, and then all of a sudden they say something and you're like, oh, I know that person, or I am that person, and oh, I do understand that. I've had that experience. So just watching two lives over 50 years only in the context of letters it's pretty cool.
Two of my favorite musicals that, well, it used to be two of my favorite musicals that nobody's ever heard of. One of them a lot of people have heard of now. Are two-person shows where they barely ever look at each other.
You're going to say, I do?
No, the last 5 years, which is obviously not an unknown show anymore, and a show called Daddy Longlegs.
Wow.
Ooh,
That is very
goes-
unknown.
Do-
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
I love Daddy Longlegs. It is a show based on an old Fred Astaire movie, I think. And it's set in 1912, and it's about a college-aged orphan who was the oldest person in the orphanage, and the benefactor who sends her to college, and she thinks that he's old, but he's really young, and it's like a love farce thing. But the whole show is just them writing letters back and forth to each other. So even though they're on stage together, they're never looking at each other, except for like a couple key moments. But that's when I first was told the premise of that show, I was like, that sounds boring. One of my favorite. I sing the songs to myself all the time. I love it. It's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to this show. So it's February. Hold on, I got it.
Saturday, February 8th
at 2 p.m.
Mhm.
And it's only going to be the one show.
Unless
Unless we sell out, and then but that has to happen in the next few days.
That has to
people.
happen in the next few days. So, guys, go to granitetheater.org and purchase those tickets. And that is really exciting. Do you guys have you ever? How do you two know each other, Rona and Cal?
Rotary. Through Rotary.
Rotary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I
makes
think
sense.
that's when we met, when you
Yeah.
first came as a guest to
Yeah.
Rotary.
How long have you guys been in the Rotary Club?
Me, 35 years. I couldn't believe when
Wow.
they told me that, but yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
you were 15?
34. Well, here.
that's right,
Here.
'cause
I
you
was
were in
20 years in
Norwich.
Norwich Club
That's right.
as president and board member and whatnot, and then came down here and immediately got roped into being the president within my first year because the club was struggling at that time back in the early 2010s. And somehow they put their trust in me for 2 years because they didn't have a lot of options. A lot of the folks had already served. Now we've grown, and again, Rotary itself is a great organization internationally, but locally here, when I first came to town, I was trying to decide, do I get active with the Chamber of Commerce or Rotary? And I went to Lisa Kanicki, and she said, well, I can tell you this about Rotary. Even though they're a small club, they are involved in so many things. And that's what I was looking for. I try to model that for my congregation, that you community service is important, and Rotary does that. So again, when Rona went to the club and said, hey, we're doing a fundraiser for the Granite Theatre, would you be interested in sponsoring it? I don't think there was even a
Actually,
hesitation.
I didn't go to the club. It was Nicole.
did. Yeah.
Because I didn't feel it was my place, because I would be in it.
Yeah.
And she wrote, I guess, a gut-wrenching letter to the president, and he took it to the board, and the
Yeah.
next thing we knew,
Yeah,
the
no, it
show
was
was
great.
paid for.
Yeah, so it's great.
Yeah, no, I've had great experiences there. I've spoken there twice, and the last one I brought one of my kids from the shows, and she did a great job.
Yeah,
She
did
was on the
amazing,
front
young
page
lady.
of yesterday's paper.
Was she?
Yes.
Layla.
Yes, she sure was.
Aw.
And Elias was in
I
yesterday's
saw
paper
Elias's,
too.
yeah.
But Layla's right on the front page.
Oh, good for her. Good for her. But yeah, and so after that very successful chat with the group, I felt like it was a good time to send a letter and ask them to sponsor a show, which they did. And it was great.
That's awesome.
Well, the Grant has always been very community oriented. I know that back in 2018 or 19, we had a group of 40 individuals from several of the area churches that were going to go down to Houston after the hurricane swept in there, and so we asked if they would do a fundraiser for us. And so that was when Jesus Christ Superstar was the production, and they set a special night just for us, and all the funds raised from that show went to the Houston mission trip. And what was amazing is all the actors, they get a small stipend. All the actors in the show forwent their stipend and
They
gave it
didn't
to the
take no
mission trip.
money.
They didn't take any money. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the guy with all the words doesn't have the words to say it. But and so it was amazing, and we raised a few $1,000s with one. Plus, they also had some auction items that people could bid on. So it was an amazing give back to the community. So again, going back to Rona saying, "Hey, we could do this fundraiser," I said, yeah, they're a great organization, so we can do a little for them.
Awesome. That is fantastic. And Nicole, we see the big 2 on the table. I mean, I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't talk about this. Your second anniversary.
My second anniversary.
When is the actual anniversary?
Today?
Seriously?
Literally today. Yeah.
Damn, Rhoda, good job.
Yeah, no, I was impressed because, I had a little note in my email that went out this morning at 7 a.m.
Well, no, I didn't do this.
But I was going to say, did she
You
just
mentioned it last week.
I did.
That you
it was
were,
coming up.
that the 27th was the day you signed the contract. So,
Good for
or
you.
moved here.
No. We moved here officially April 22nd. So I had commuted for 4 months.
Ooh.
Woo, with my baby in tow, who's now almost 3.
Oh,
I know. But yeah, no, it's crazy. It has not been fast. Like the last 2 years have not flown by, but I think it's just because we've done so much, and they're like, every time I get to a Christmas show, I'm like, how is it the Christmas show already? But then to be like, I've only been here for 2 years. Like 2 years ago was attempting to, like, I remember when, Dina called me and offered me the job. And then she was like, okay, so we're already behind. So when do you want to have auditions? And I was like, yeah. Like, I've been there twice in my life. Like, so just like looking back on all the late nights I spent there painting sets by myself to where I am now with the fact that over the weekend, so much happened at the theater without me, like I asked for this to happen. These people are, heading this up, and this people are heading these projects up, and this, and I just like answered text messages and looked at pictures they sent me when they needed to. And I was like, wow, so much has changed and grown. And it's just,
I think
it's a lovely
you should
place.
mention to the audience, because when I read it this morning on your newsletter, I was amazed. All I knew about was the new lighting rigging. I didn't know that whole list about the carpeting.
Yeah,
and
well,
all
it was just
seats
like one
and-
of those things where, so we knew we got the grant. Sorry, Siri. I said sorry. She thought I said Siri. I love that I can call your Siri.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
So we got the grant to redo the lighting rig, which was something that I had been talking about since maybe being here a month. And so if all the pipe work up on the ceiling was going to come down, last year we painted the ceiling, the walls, and couldn't get to the ceiling because it would have just been too big of a thing. So it was like, well, if we're going to take down the pipes, we should probably paint the ceiling now. Well, in order to get to the ceiling, we needed staging, like scaffolding, and therefore we need to take the chairs out. Well, if we were going to take the chairs out, might as well clean the rugs that haven't been cleaned in 25 years plus. I don't know when those seats went in. And then so Amy and Steve were up painting, like, or cleaning the ceiling, because you have to clean it before you paint it. New York City apartments don't know that. It's amazing when you like get down on the ground, you're like, how old is that hair that's stuck in the paint? Anyway, they were like, the vents are really, really dirty, so maybe they should be cleaned. And so, Stanley Steamer was coming in to do the carpets, so then brought him back in to do the vent cleaning, and the place looks amazing.
It does.
Yeah, so just a lot had to happen in the last month, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
so they need more money to do
And
more
so
things.
so please come see Love Letters.
Absolutely.
Buy 30 or 40 tickets and we'll have an evening performance.
Bring the whole group. Bring the whole family. Yeah. Well, not the whole family. Don't bring the little.
No,
family.
no.
Yeah.
Don't
No,
bring the
it's,
whole
it's more of
family.
it's more of a teenager adult
Yeah.
show.
I did have a neighbor ask me, she said, I love shows that only have happy endings. I said, stay home, watch the pre-Super Bowl stuff.
Yeah, it's a journey, but
It's bittersweet.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
a sad, it's bittersweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And
that's
but
cool.
it's funny
Yeah.
throughout. There's a lot of funny lines in it.
Cal has a great line. I'm not going to say it. They have to come see it.
Now I want to
think
know.
You know
why.
which one I'm talking about.
No, I honestly don't.
Well, you will when we
Oh.
go off air.
I know when I was watching stuff on YouTube, the one scene that they would have, if they could just do a little snippet, was the come up to Harvard for the weekend.
Yeah.
And the minute he asks her, he says, oh, no, you can't. My parents want to come.
Yeah.
Because he's a slave to his parents.
Yeah.
And she is too, to some degree, to Mummy.
Right,
Mummy.
definitely to Mummy. And when
Yeah.
I feel like when there's that much money involved, both the characters come from extremely wealthy backgrounds.
Must be nice.
Yeah,
Well, that's
what
the
I
thing.
keep thinking.
It's
not
not.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you,
It's
you
not
see
nice.
And then it makes it a little bit really true to life, because sometimes, and again, I just came back from Honduras, and the poverty is so real, and yet the people that we met who are associated with the churches were just so happy. They had so little, but they were happy. There was something else in life that they were finding. And yet we see so many people, maybe we know some people who have all the blessings in life, and yet they're so miserable.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of comes out a little bit in this story, that you can have it all and not have it all.
I think they have it all, but they have nothing really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he goes pretty far in life, becomes a U.S. senator.
Yeah.
You know, and he's got the children and the better dog
Yeah.
and all of this
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
but he's not happy
No,
either.
No. Yeah. So anyway, it's good.
Well, I highly recommend everybody go out right now. Go to granitetheater.org, theater RE.
Thank you.
.org and get your tickets for Love Letters February 8th. And
And there are no bad seats in that
No
theater.
bad seats in that theater. And
No.
they're all, and it smells very nice in that theater now. And there is heat. There is definitely heat. And tickets are only $25.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. Yeah, $25. That's a very inexpensive show these days.
It is.
So definitely come to see it. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. Nicole, congratulations on 2
Thank you.
years.
I'm very excited to eat my cake. Thank you, Rona.
Terrible.
Doesn't matter what it looks like.
And I also want to say that if you guys ever miss an episode of this, not only can you catch the videos on demand on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere, get video content, but also you can download the Behind the Curtain podcast on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, etc.
Fun.
Yeah.
This is new information to me.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
We
Thanks for having
appreciate
us.
it. And also, if you'd like to sponsor the show, more than welcome to. If you would like to be the official advertiser of getting the word out about all of the great things happening at the Granite Theater, give me a call or send a text 401-321-2838. All right. Go to granitetheater.org, support the Rotary, support in general, support Granite Theater, buy tickets to this show. It's going to be incredible. And when is the next time that you're going to get to see the Reverend Dr. Cal Lord,
Wow.
the Reverend Dr. Cal Lord on stage? I mean, technically there is a platform every Sunday, but when's the next time you're going to see him on stage? This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to see Cal Lord and Rona Mann together. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much, and happy anniversary, Nicole.
Thank you.
Touchdown, Westerly!
A chance for the Chargers, and they score!
In the front, Guzzi again!